Hey Pat, how you doing? Welcome to AFTERBLAST.
Hi, Oscar. Thank you. Thanks for asking me back. This is awesome. Total
Yeah,
honor. Of
thank you very much. Good that we're both rocking Paranoid Time shirts.
course.
Got to have the uniform for no.
Yeah, I
So,
always wear
so
my own shirt. I wear my own shirt around town.
as people have seen the podcast, I like to wear my own shirt a lot.
Yeah.
Um, and
Nobody else is, right? Nobody else is wearing this shirt, so like someone's got to rock it around,
exactly. And I've seen someone like kind of like try to diss the podcast somewhere, like call it the Noise Shirt Podcast.
I
Like
know,
like
and that was one thing I like put a plain shirt on when I sat down because it just like every dude that gets on here has like a dark tee with like some obscure thing. Uh, um, we were in Florida last week. We went down there for spring break, and I was wearing that camo White
oh,
Centipede's noise shirt, walking
cool,
around St. Augustine.
cool.
And I
Probably fit
walked
right in
in.
there.
It did actually, and we walked into this this olive oil shop because we wanted to buy a gift for my in-laws. They're babysitting the dogs, and the guy was just staring at it and staring at it and staring at it. And it was at the counter, like checking out, and he's like, "You got to explain your shirt." It's like it's a record label. He's like, yeah, that was like,
So you just left it at that.
I left it at that. Like,
Yeah,
what am
yeah,
I like? It's a record label.
yeah.
Like, but
That's cool. Yeah, people don't
catching
really have.
people's eyes, I guess.
Yeah, I notice all the time people catching guys. People are usually, I don't know. People usually don't ask me about that kind of stuff, but
Yeah, and I've had other people talk like because I wear that shirt out because it fits nice,
yeah,
good,
yeah,
but it's got this giant bug on it too, and some people are like, oh,
yeah,
like
exactly. Yeah,
triggered by that
yeah.
cockroach or millipede or whatever it is.
Centipede.
So it's a centipede. It's a white
Yeah,
centipede.
yeah. Yeah. I really like. I think I'm really kind of committed to the idea of wearing. I try really hard to wear I've worn this once already, but I wore it again. I try to wear a noise shirt for every episode. Like that's kind of religious. Like I have to
Yeah,
represent a noise project, no matter how dumb the shirt is. Like for each
you got a
episode,
lot of fucking noise shirts.
dude, I've got a lot, and I've started. I've stopped wearing them as much in my. Well, I just have so many that's like I've started cycling them out, but it's like I try to at least wear it once, and then maybe I'll like. I might even sell it in the distro. Like I might even get it for like the shop,
Yeah.
and then just toss on
Just
once.
take it
Like,
out of the. So, like, if you buy one for your distro, it might have been worn on one of these
dude,
podcasts.
yeah, for
All
sure.
right.
Some people, I mean, I try to like shake it out and make sure there's no like stink on
Shake it out a little bit.
it. But there's a chance if you get a medium shirt from the distro,
Yeah.
that it was worn on the podcast because it's just like yeah, it's like a religious. I have to do it, and I mean, people like to be like yeah. I mean, people like to be.
It's like your personal branding for.
Well, it's like I'm here to represent, man. I'm here really to represent,
Yeah. Well, yeah, that makes sense.
and I'm here to
Is that
represent
like your
noise,
distro that I
like with
see?
a
Is that your distro I see behind you? Is that what all
yeah,
that is, or is that
yeah,
latest
yeah,
stuff?
yeah.
Yeah, or both?
That's
Yeah.
pretty much it. It goes here and about three further.
Yeah.
Those are the CDs,
Yeah.
and LPs are over there. Yeah.
Oh my god.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's fun. It's fun. I remember
it's
doing that stuff. It's fun.
yeah, yeah. It's definitely fun. So yeah, you were my first, not my first, but you were one of my first podcast guests in the first couple months when it was still kind of like I didn't
Yeah.
really know what I was getting into with the podcast, and it kind of just started out like, okay, well, I want to do interviews with the people that have like been on the label first. That was kind of the first thing, like people I've worked with on
Okay.
the label. So
Yeah.
I think I asked you even a while before.
Yep. And I kind of just sat on it and I was just like, and then I saw you starting to do it and I was like, oh shit. Like, yeah, I totally want to do this. So again, thanks for having me. I totally
Yeah,
appreciate being asked. I'm super proud for you, like what this has become. Like, it's hard to tell because we're in this bubble, right? Because we're
yeah,
like, everybody kind of knows everybody in this thing, but you look
yeah.
at, on YouTube, these things get 1,000+ views, if not more. Like
Dude, it's crazy. I mean, the
yeah,
one with Sam McKinley has like seven. I mean, between the YouTube and the audio version, which doesn't get as many, but I think it's like over 7,000
Yeah, that's wild.
Or like I think
Yeah,
between I think I checked between the audio and the YouTube, it's like almost 8,000, I think.
yeah. I mean, it's like laughable to somebody who's like used to like big media type stuff.
Yeah,
But I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
like this niche level of thing for like the Rita, right? Like, I
Yeah.
mean, what that sounds like to like a normal person, that like 8,000 plus people check out the podcast is amazing. It's
It's
great.
crazy. It is crazy. But I have been thinking about that though lately, that like it is still sort of insane to me that with the world population approaching 8 billion,
Yeah,
that like 50 to 100 copies for a tape is still like a reasonable amount
it's plenty. It's
for this
plenty.
genre of music. Like
Yeah, I know.
like
That hasn't changed. That doesn't. That does not seem to have changed. Like
I mean,
the, the
50 I
whole
mean,
time.
I do think it's grown. I mean, I think 50 to 100 is still 50's on 50's on the small scale. I think 50 copies of anything right now is pretty much like that's pretty like limited. 100 is like kind of okay, 100 is healthy. You can some artists you can easily
Uh,
move a couple hundred.
like, how many do you do when you do like pro press stuff? Like when you do those CDs, like how many are you
300 is kind of standard, and for a few
get
I've
rid
done
of all?
500. And they've dude, I'm okay, for if I'm gonna talk numbers and flex a little bit here, or maybe not myself, but just in terms of the
I'm not
the
flexing. I mean, I'm just curious. I
the
just
the I think the effectiveness of the genre and the format and like the distro and all that, like the reissue I did of Sewer Election and Treyarch shows it, Killing for Germany and Rogsved, that one that Nolan put out. I did 500 of those and they're sold out
wow,
within like a year or two, probably 2 years.
wow.
Like I did the German and Dillaway split or collab with I split that with New Forces, but we're both sold out of those. So it's like
Yeah,
that's
it's
I mean when at least I think just having the networks to get those out is like a big thing, because when I started doing noise like years ago when I was like that would have never been feasible, but I feel like
so we see this same group of like dudes, like in whatever these online places that we where this community sort of like feels like it exists. But there's
yeah
a whole group. And there's a, I mean, that's just like, I wouldn't say
yeah
quite probably the tip of the iceberg, but there's a shit ton of people that don't participate in that at all.
exactly.
Right?
That's the interesting part, is that like yeah exactly. Um, I'm always curious about, because yeah, you have these. I don't know. It seems like you could count them on your hand sometimes, or not. Maybe not. But you have these guys that you're in touch with, and
Mm-hmm. You kind of
do
start to
shows.
feel like that's it.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah, yeah. But there's gotta be a lot of people in silence. I
there's
think there are a
people
lot of
lurking and consuming harsh noise.
there are. I mean, I think there are those people that are like get into it, and I think the tendency is to get into it and be like fully sucked into it, and then like want to be corresponding. But
Yes.
I think there are plenty of I think there are other people who just kind of are just fans of music,
Extreme.
extreme
Yeah.
music in general, or like have like maybe a more wider and balanced taste in music, and aren't like
Yeah.
only
Yeah.
listen to this stuff and I only like this stuff and I want to talk to people about it all the time, and like who are like, oh
Yeah.
okay, like I listen to all this music, oh but I'll pick up this like this the Ritas, they know who these artists are, and they pick up stuff here and there. So I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, cool, man. I'm glad that those numbers are encouraging, but
yeah. I mean, we'll see. I mean, I don't know. I don't like to jinx it, but I do know that there's
ebb and flow. Yeah.
ebb and flow, and I'm like, God, I hope we don't go into another ice age where no one cares about noise anymore. Because that's
We will. I mean, you
yeah,
will.
yeah,
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know because like in the mid, in those 2010 years, I
yeah,
kind of like dipped out of
yeah, yeah,
most
yeah.
of it for a long time. That was, a number of different circumstances, but
Right.
part of it was interest, honestly.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, uh, and these things are all cyclical. So even
yeah,
when it goes down again, it'll come back up again.
yeah,
Like
for sure.
that just seems to be,
And you just gotta hold. I mean, if you're the people who want to hold it down, just hold it down. I mean,
yeah, yeah,
just stick it through.
exactly.
It was interesting. I don't know if you saw the episode with Dillaway, but he had an interesting like take on it when I said, "What do you think is like the reason for that?" The no fun but era, which was like the peak, and then kind of like after that, it kind of just cool off for a while. And he was saying he thought it was directly related to the like the market
like market forces
The
affected
market
it?
crash, like of like the international recession that happened like right around then. He's like, it happened a few. He's like, noise kind of died out a few years later, but because it, that stuff usually hits artists later. But he's like, people have a lot of those guys, working just whatever menial jobs with,
Yeah.
they have money for weed, beer, and noise tapes. And eventually, when things kind of get tough, they have only then money for weed and beer.
Right. Yeah. Because that money is yeah
That
is
money,
safe,
you find
right?
money for
Yeah.
that, but then like you cut costs on the noise tapes for a while. So I mean, I don't know if that's. I don't really think that's the full picture, but that's
That's an
probably
interesting idea. I'm
interesting.
not, yeah,
It probably is a part of it. So I mean, I don't
because
know.
they are. I mean, it's a luxury item, really. At the end of the day, like if you have expendable income, this should be expendable income. This should not be prioritized. Like in my mind, like
Yeah,
if you have a budget or whatever that you live by, maybe. I mean, maybe if this is what sustains you as a person, there's definitely probably people out there like that. That part of what I spend is on noise things. But I could see maybe that like if economics starts coming into play, one of the first things to cut would be buying noise tapes. That makes
yeah,
sense. I don't know,
yeah,
but interesting. I don't know. I feel like there's something bigger than that. I feel like it's just stuff gets hot, cools down. It's
yeah.
hot, cools down, and beyond just like I'm sure Dillaway's point of view is like because he has a record store and he did
Right.
Hanson, does Hanson, talking about sales and things, but
Yeah.
in terms of just like awareness and people wanting to participate, it's not just like selling stuff. It's just
Yeah, yeah. Like shows. It's people who
just go to shows,
people who
people starting
care. I mean,
projects, and
yeah,
things like that.
yeah.
Um, yeah,
Exactly. It
so
all goes together.
it
But
feels like I don't know. I can't say because I'm kind of isolated from it, so I don't really know where we're at right now. But it seems healthy when you look at it from the outside online.
I think it's very good right now. But I think the internet has played a big role in probably also what cooled it off for a while, maybe in some way that just the over.
Well, I think about this a little bit too in terms of like what the future of participating in this looks like.
Yeah.
Such a big part of being in this scene or having an interest in noise and whatnot includes collecting those tangible items and
Yeah.
collecting. Um, First of all, shit is expensive. Like a tape is like $10 or $12, which seems just crazy, but maybe it's just because I'm old. But and then also having the physical devices to play these things. I mean,
Yeah.
like there you can only buy like refurbished things or find these things like in a Goodwill or something for so long.
Yeah.
Eventually, you're gonna have to sport out for like a fucking new one, and they can't be cheap. Like I just
Yeah.
maybe
Exactly.
the economics do at some point play into it, but I just wonder like what happens to noise when people stop buying the noise tapes or the physical thing.
Dude, that's been a topic I keep asking people about and try to think about because I think that's a very, very, very real
Yeah, it's coming because
short
the
term
kids.
thing.
Yeah, it's coming within the next 5 to 10 years. I would say. Like
Exactly.
I think the next wave of interest in noise will not involve buying tapes.
Maybe. Yeah. I don't know if
Like after this if we're like in some sort of a peak now, or
yeah,
we're still getting to it, like
yeah.
after whatever is happening now sort of starts to die off however long. Then when the next one comes along, like, can you really 15 years from now, people are going to be buying noise tapes? Maybe, I don't know,
I
but
don't think so. No, I
I
don't
don't
think
think
so.
so either. I
No,
don't
I
think
don't
so
think
either
so.
because like a lot of the kids that are going to be into it are like 3 years old right now or something,
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
and
Exactly.
so
I
what
think
are they going to know
CDs
about a tape?
exactly. I think CDs are going to become a more just normal stable I mean, they have become a much more like stable just practical format. I think that'll continue, but even that's like I mean, I always talk about like okay, we had a pandemic that kind of just came out of nowhere
Yes.
and turned out that okay, we were able to it wasn't maybe as bad as it could have been and we were able to kind of figure it out and whatever. But like what if the next one or the next thing is just way fucking worse or like
Yeah, and that could just happen, right?
exactly and like
I should say, like, I'm not rooting for that, like, eventuality. Like, I love that aspect of the culture, right? Like, we
yeah
all do,
yeah
right?
yeah
just like looking at it and just kind of thinking about it, it's kind of hard to imagine that tangible physical aspect of everything kind of keeping on, you
especially
know.
for
And
such.
then I saw
It's
somebody else too writing something. I think is on the Discord server. We're talking about, or either that or is a Scream and Ride, or because I lurk on those.
yeah,
Talking about like gear, like what is appropriate gear, you know, and like laptops are probably not as taboo as they were
right,
no fun years or whatever,
right,
like if they were back
yeah,
then, but people still pretty much expect you to have like a mixer
yeah,
and to have like fucking pedals and
yeah,
to have fucking little tape player,
yeah,
talking about my kind of setup,
yeah, yeah.